Welcome to Headstones and Microphones, where we use AI to step into the past through a researched first-person simulation of history's most interesting people. I'm your host, Calvin. While we've added some creative storytelling, our goal is to inspire your own study of these fascinating lives. Now, let's meet our guest. Today, we are joined by a man whose name is synonymous with power, speed, and a very famous bull. For those who may somehow not know who you are you?
Ciao, Calvin. It is such a joy to be here. What a wonderful opportunity to speak again. I am Ferruccio Lamborghini. Most people hear my name and think of low, sleek cars screaming down the autostrada, but I have always seen myself as a man of the earth who simply loved to make things work better.
We are thrilled to have you. Let's start at the very beginning. When and where were you born?
I was born on April 28, 1916. My home was a lovely farm in the small village of Renazzo di Cento in the Ferrara province of northern Italy. A beautiful, quiet place full of vineyards.
And what was your given name at birth?
My full name, given by my parents, was Ferruccio Elio Arturo Lamborghini.
Is there a story behind your birth name?
Not a complicated one. In Italy, we often carry the names of our grandfathers or saints, but I was born under the sign of the bull, Taurus. That perhaps had the most influence on my life later on, though at the time, I was just a farm boy.
What was your hometown like growing up?
Renazzo was rural and peaceful. It was all about the land and the grapes. My parents, Antonio and Evelina, were viticulturists. They lived by the seasons. It was a place where you knew your neighbors and you knew hard work.
What was your family life like?
It was warm, but disciplined. My parents wanted me to take over the farm, of course. They taught me the value of quality and rolling up your sleeves. We were close, but I think I frustrated my father a bit because I was always more interested in the machinery than the vines.
What kind of kid were you?
I was obsessed. While other boys played, I was in the barn taking apart the engines of the farm tractors. I had a burning curiosity for how gears turned and how metal fit together. I was a bit headstrong too. Once I had an idea, I wouldn't let go.
What were your biggest fears growing up?
I suppose my biggest fear was being stuck doing something that didn't ignite my passion. The idea of a life where I couldn't build or fix things, that was frightening to me.
What did you dream of becoming as a child?
I dreamed of being a great mechanic. I wanted to go to the big factories in Bologna. I didn't dream of fame. I dreamed of perfect machines.
What were some of your favorite activities in school?
Anything technical. I went to the Fratelli Taddia Technical Institute near Bologna. I loved my workshops. I even trained with a master blacksmith to learn the secrets of welding and ironwork. That was my true classroom.
What was your first job?
After my studies, I managed to convince Cavaliere Righi in Bologna to hire me at his factory. They maintained the Italian army's vehicles. It was heaven for a young man like me.
Was there a moment where you realized you were different from everyone else?
It was during the war, when I was stationed on the island of Rhodes. I was a mechanic for the Air Force. I became known as a wizard at fixing things with almost nothing. When you can keep a fleet of vehicles running using only scrap metal and ingenuity, you realize you have a gift that not everyone shares.
What's a decision that changed everything for you, but felt small at the time?
Buying surplus military machines after the war. I just thought, these engines are strong, and Italy needs tractors. I started converting old war machines into farm equipment in a small garage. It felt like a practical solution, but it built my first empire.
What was your biggest break?
My biggest break was actually a disappointment. It was the moment I took my Ferrari 250 GT to Enzo Ferrari to complain about the clutch. He told me, "You are a tractor driver. You are a farmer. You shouldn't complain about my cars." That insult was the spark. It made me realize I had to build my own car.
What were your biggest struggles before success?
After the war, everything was scarce. I had to build a business from the ruins. And then, losing my first wife, Clelia, in 1947 while she gave birth to our son Antonio, that was a weight I carried while trying to build my future.
Did you ever consider quitting?
Never. When the tractor business faced a crisis in the 70s, I chose to sell and move on, but I never quit living. I simply changed my focus back to the land and my vineyard.
Were there any specific daily habits or routines that you feel are essential to your success?
I believed in being as strong as a bull. Tamuño come un toro. I worked long hours. I stayed close to my workers, and I always ate a good lunch. You cannot think clearly on an empty stomach.
What job would you have had if fame never happened?
I would have been a happy blacksmith or a simple mechanic in Renazzo. As long as I had a wrench in my hand, I would have been content.
What was your life like before fame?
It was busy. I was a successful industrialist long before the sports cars. I was making tractors, then heating and air conditioning units. I was a wealthy man who enjoyed good wine and fast cars as a hobby.
How did relationships change after success?
Some people saw me only as the, quote, rich man with the bull logo. But my true friends were the ones who knew I was still the farmer who liked to walk through the vineyards in Umbria.
Did fame bring happiness?
The success brought happiness because it proved I was right. But the fame itself, it was just a byproduct. True happiness for me was the sound of a perfect V12 engine.
What was the downside of becoming famous?
The pressure and the rivalries. People always want to see the bull and the horse fight. Sometimes I just wanted to build a car that was comfortable and perfect without the drama of the racing world.
What misconceptions did people have about you?
People thought I was just an angry man trying to spite Enzo Ferrari. While the rivalry was real, my goal wasn't just to beat him, it was to create the perfect Grand Tourer. I wasn't just a tractor driver, I was an engineer of excellence.
What's something people misunderstood about your life?
That I was obsessed with speed. I actually didn't care for racing. I thought it was a waste of money and time. I wanted a car that was fast, yes, but also refined and reliable.
Tell me about a time when everything went wrong, and how did you handle it?
In 1948, I entered the Mille Miglia race in a Fiat Topolino I had modified. After 700 miles, I crashed right into the side of a restaurant in Fiano. How did I handle it? I walked away from racing and decided I would rather build the cars than risk my neck driving them in circles.
Who had the biggest influence on your life?
My father. Even though I didn't want to be a farmer, his work ethic and the risk he took, putting up his farm as collateral for my first business loan, I never forgot that.
What was life like in your final years?
It was beautiful. I retired to my estate, La Fiorita, in Umbria. I went back to my roots, making wine. I even called one the blood of the bull. I hunted, I enjoyed the countryside, and I was at peace.
What were you working on in your career before you passed away?
I was mostly focused on my vineyard and my private collection. I had sold my interest in the car company years before, but I always kept an eye on what they were building in Sant'Agata.
When and where and how did you pass away, and how old were you?
I passed away on February 20th, 1993, in a hospital in Perugia. I had suffered a heart attack 15 days earlier. I was 76 years old.
What's a random fact about you most people have never heard?
I love to hunt. Even in my later years, you could find me out in the fields of Umbria.
What was your most unique habit?
I would often go into the factory and work alongside the mechanics. I couldn't help it. I would see a bolt that wasn't quite right, and I had to fix it myself.
What was your favorite food?
A simple traditional Italian meal. Good pasta, fresh bread, and of course, a glass of my own wine.
Did you have any known rivalries?
Oh, the most famous one of all, Enzo Ferrari. We were two bulls in one field. He was the king of the track, and I wanted to be the king of the road.
What's your funniest behind-the-scenes moment?
When we were preparing the 350 GTV for the Turin Motor Show, the engine wouldn't actually fit in the car because of the way it was designed. We had to fill the engine bay with bricks so the car would sit at the right height, and we kept the hood closed the whole time. Everyone loved it, and they had no idea there was no engine inside.
What was the most outlandish purchase you made?
I suppose buying all those luxury cars, Mercedes, Jaguars, Maseratis, just to find out what was wrong with them.
What advice would you give people chasing success?
Don't let someone tell you what you are capable of. If they call you a tractor driver, then build the best tractor the world has ever seen, and then build a car that makes them eat their words. Be as strong as a bull.
Ferruccio, do you have any closing remarks about the interview or the stories you shared that you would like to share with the listeners before signing off?
Just that life is like a fine engine. It requires balance, passion, and a little bit of fire. It was a pleasure to share my story with you. Thank you for remembering the man behind the bull. It was a joy to be here.
Thank you so much for joining us, Ferruccio. It was an absolute honour to hear about your journey from the vineyards of Renazzo to the pinnacle of automotive history. You truly showed the world that a tractor driver can change the world. And that wraps up another conversation from Beyond the Grave. Thanks for joining us on the Headstones and Microphones podcast. Remember, legends may die, but their stories never do. Please help spread the word by sharing and following the pod